morning! So today I'm going to be talking about classification for Biology Regents. Biologists have identified and named 1.5 million species. They estimate that there are 2 to 100 billion species yet to be discovered. To study the diversity of life, biologists use a classification system to name organisms and group them in a logical manner. Taxonomy is the science of classifying things based on physical and chemical similarities. Biologists do not refer to organisms by their common names because they are varied among languages and regions. Instead, they use Linnaeus' hierarchical system of classification. The general categories from large to small are kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. The classification of humans is Animalia, Chordata, Mammalia, Primata, Hominidae, Homo, and Sapien. Linnaeus developed a two-word naming system called Binomial Nomenclature, where the two smallest categories, which are genus and species, are used to name the organism. Biologists now group organisms into categories that represent their ties in evolutionary descent or phylogenecy, not just their physical characteristics. The 5 kingdoms are monarans, which is bacteria, protists, fungi, plants, and animals. The three domains are archaea, which is prokaryotic, and also it includes archaea bacteria. There's the other category is eubacteria, which is true bacteria, and they're also prokaryotic, and eukarya, which is eukaryotic. And it includes protists, fungi, plants, and animals. A dichotomous key is a two-choice system of identifying organisms. So a virus. A typical virus is composed of a protein coat surrounding a nucleic acid, which is RNA or DNA. It is considered non-living because they do not carry out all the life processes and they are not made up of cells. In the quote-unquote life cycle of viruses, the virus finds a receptor site in the cell membrane, injects nucleic acid into the cell, takes control of the cell processes, makes more viruses, the cell then bursts, the new viruses go into the receptor sites on the new cells. Some examples of viruses are colds, influenza, HIV, hepatitis, herpes, and smallpox. Antibiotics don't work against viruses. They only kill living things like bacteria. Vaccines are weak, non-functioning pieces of a virus. Therefore, after a vaccine is injected into the body, the immune system is prepared to fight off the actual virus. A viroid is a small piece of DNA, usually in plants. A prion is a small piece of protein. Example is mad cow disease or chronic wasting disease in deer. Those are prions. So bacteria. Bacteria are prokaryotic with no nucleus, mitochondria, or chloroplasts. They do cyclosis, which is movement of the cytoplasm, and they do that for transport. For nutrition, cyanobacteria are autotrophic. Other types of bacteria are heterotrophic or parasitic, and others are chemotrophic. They perform diffusion for excretion and respiration. For reproduction, they practice binary fusion, which is asexual. Protists are eukaryotic, so they have a nucleus, mitochondria, and some have chloroplasts. They can be unicellular, multicellular, or colonial. They can be described as the misfit kingdom. Animal-like protists are called protozoans. Those are heterotrophic. Some examples are amoeba, which have pseudopods, paramecium, which have cilia, and plasmodium, which causes malaria. Plant-like protists are autotrophic, and they perform photosynthesis. Some examples are algae and euglena. There are also some fungus-like protists, which are called slime molds. Protists do passive movement. Paramecium will use cilia, euglena use flagellum, and amoeba use pseudopods to move. They do cytolysis for transport. For nutrition, they can be autotrophic, such as algae, heterotrophic, such as amoeba and paramecium, or they can be both, such as euglena. They do diffusion for excretion and respiration. For reproduction, they practice binary fission, which is asexual, or conjugation in paramecium, which is sexual. Fungi are eukaryotic with a nucleus and mitochondria. Their walls are made of chitin. They are multicellular except for yeast, which is unicellular. They are heterotrophic decomposers, so they do not photosynthesize. They either don't move at all or they only move passively. They do cyclosis for transport. They do diffusion for excretion and respiration. For nutrition, most are decomposers. They use extracellular digestion, which is secreting enzymes into this food source, and then the nutrients are absorbed into the cells. They reproduce with spores. As decomposers, they recycle nutrients from the dead and decaying organisms. Some symbiotic relationships are mycorrhizae, which is fungi and plant roots, and lichen, which is fungi and photosynthetic protists. Plants. Plants are eukaryotic, with a nucleus, mitochondria, and chloroplasts. Their cell walls are made of cellulose. They are multicellular with cell specialization. They are autotrophs, so they do photosynthesis. Some types of plants are mosses, ferns, conifers, which are like ones with pine cones, flowers, and plants. Duh, of course they're plants. I just meant to end it with flowers. Plants are non-modal, but they do alter their process of growth in response to stimuli, which is a type of movement. For transport, they have xylem. Water and minerals are transpired upwards in plants through dead cells. Chloroplasts in leaves need water, which enters in through the roots. Adhesion and cohesion pulls water up the stems. Transpiration is a process of water exiting holes of plant leaves called stomata. Stomata are surrounded by guard cells that regulate how much water is lost or kept in a plant. Phloem are tubes that transport sugars made in the leaf to the rest of the plant. For nutrition, they make their own food. The equation for photosynthesis is 6CO2 plus 6H2O, and then plus light is turned into C6H12O2. They excrete CO2 and water from cellular respiration and CO2 and water vapor by diffusion. For respiration, they have gas exchange through the stomata. Plants reproduce asexually by vegetative propagation. They also do sexual reproduction using flowers or cones. In the flower, stamens produce pollen. The pistil produces seeds and fruits in the ovary. Hormones affect growth, development, reproduction, and tropisms, which we can hear about tropisms later. Plant hormones are produced in actively growing regions of the plant. Tropisms are growth responses to stimuli. They cause a plant to bend upwards or away from a stimulus. To bend towards or away from a stimulus, sorry. Phototropism is response to light. Geotropism is response to gravity. Hydrotropism is response to water. And thigmotropism is response to touch. Stomates and guard cells control water loss. In animals, they are members of the animal kingdom, and they are multicellular, eukaryotic, heterotrophs who do not have cell walls. Animals don't have cell walls. The two main types of animals are invertebrates and vertebrates. Invertebrate means without a backbone. For examples of invertebrate are sponges, worms, arthropods, which is like insects and crabs, and echinoderms, which are starfish. Vertebrate means with a backbone. For examples are fish, amphibians, reptiles, and birds. In addition to having lungs, four-chambered hearts, and being warm-blooded, all animals have hair and a female who produces milk from animal glands. Cell specialization is when cells perform different tasks. We, as animals, have three germ layers. The endoderm, which is inside your gut, the mesoderm, which is your muscles, bones, and organs, and the endoderm, which is skin and nervous system. Animals also have body symmetry. Radial symmetry has a round pattern, so like a spiral thing we got going. It's slow and successive, and it's not centralized. Bilateral symmetry has one plane of symmetry in the front and rear end, so it's like a line from your head to your butt. And it goes faster. So cephalization is development of the head, brain, and sense organs. Body cavity formation is a space between the gut and your other parts of the body, which it allows for better movement and speciation. All animals are modal at some point in their life cycle. Transportation is in the form of simple diffusion to complex diffusion. So can be a spectrum. There are heterotrophic, and they do ingestion, digestion, and egestion. Excretion can be simple diffusion, or it can be complex, as can respiration be. Animals perform sexual reproduction, which has a combination of sperm from the male and eggs from the female. Some perform regeneration, which is the growth of a lost body part. We don't do that, obviously. Animals have a nervous system with a brain, nerve cells, tissues, and an endocrine system. The endocrine system regulates the release of hormones. So, I really hope that helps you, and good luck on the test. Woo! Hope this helped you study.